To the Thought Brothers, March 4th. First, first one in March. We got a hot topic show today. I don't know what the fellows are going to do. They got 10 minutes to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So we're going to kick it over to our financial analyst, the man with all the money, stuff. Just Benjamin's just falling out his pocket. Carlos, what you got? The clock's on you.
Hey, look, I want to start with something positive. When we think about, I mean, yeah, money rules the world and finance, and we can't live without it. We never have enough, and all that good stuff. First of all, just on an encouraging tip for some of our people who are young people just getting started out in finance, and then maybe some of our retired personnel who are out of the workforce who are, living their best lives in retirement. Those two ends of the spectrum from a financial perspective, please, in 2026, there is no need to pay anybody with a wad of cash. Okay, if someone calls you and tells you that you owe a ticket, that you have a court case, that you owe X amount of dollars for whatever reason for that library book from 1975, it is a scam. I'm telling you right now. Look, if you need $15,000 to get your driveway repaired, and you haven't checked at least two or three reputable companies for that price, don't pay it, because usually the scam artists want cash only, because you can't charge it back on a credit card. You can't get a cash, you don't have proof that you even paid a reputable company, because you don't even have a receipt from a cashier's check. And daily, man, it's just a thing where I'm running to people daily and who are saying, hey, man, somebody called me and told me I need to pay this money immediately. I need to buy a gift card. I need to send money. I need to fax. I need to deposit in a Bitcoin machine. I need to, do all these crazy things. And these could be our relatives. They can be our friends. They can be our family. And they can be young people who don't have much experience coming out of college with finances. Or they can be experienced people who are retired, who've been out of the workforce. And for that reason, maybe they're not up to date on the 150 emails that just came in last week on financial scams. So I just wanted to get that word out there to people. Please, if you need to pay for something, don't pay in cash, pay with a credit card. If you can't pay with a credit card, get a money order or cashier's check. Can you get some type of receipt? You just can't hand the cash over and expect that the people are going to logically come back and do whatever they're supposed to do. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. And I hate to do it. I want to support small businesses in our community as much as possible. Okay, restaurant, everybody. But at the same time, you have to protect yourself. You need to use reputable companies that if you have a complaint, you can actually call and speak to a manager at a physical location, not one that only exists online and may not exist at all. And if someone calls you claiming to be from a particular business or company that you deal with, and they say there's an issue and you owe money, hang up and call the number on your statement, the back of your card, the number that you already have on file. They can spoof numbers on caller ID, etc. And with that being said, that was my being named a financial analyst. I wanted to make sure I got that financial information out there because, it's March. I mean, we're about to finish the first quarter of 2026. And we want to make sure everybody's in a better position than when the year started. And avoiding scams will help a great deal in your life. Now, with that transition, it's also Women's History Month in March. And I want to make sure we get some shout out to some sisters who changed the world. Okay. And then I'm going to ask for impact. You know what? I'm going to ask for impact from each one of you guys on three different women who changed the world. So the first person I'm going to go to is I'm going to ask Mr. Spivey about the impact of Rosa Parks. Okay. I want to find out if children today or young people today even know who Rosa Parks is. Okay. So, Mr. Spivey, I need you on that one. Gary, I'm going to ask you, do people know about the arts? Do they know about poetry? Do they know about Maya Angelou? Come on, Gary. I need Gary to weigh in on that one. And then, CJ, you're an entertainer, man. Look, kids know who they see on the screen. But I just realized that one of our people we grew up with watching in the movies and TV shows, etc., is almost 60 years old now. Do the young people even know who Halle Berry is and how to relate to Halle Berry. Maybe see, she is not 19. She's not 29. She's almost 60. So I think she's one of the great actresses of all time, female actress of all time, and actresses of all time. So I want to ask CJ to weigh in on the impact of some of the movies that Halle Berry has made. And I want to ask that controversial question. I think we asked it about Denzel Washington. You know, why did he have to win the Oscar for playing Alonzo in Training Day? Why couldn't he have won it for being Coach Herman Boone in Remember the Titans? Think about that, right? So Halle Berry, why did she have to win the Oscar, CJ, for Monsters Ball, which had a very intense scene in it, as opposed to maybe one of the movies she made about family and friendships and love, etc. So these are all questions, but this is an integral part of Black history, especially if, from our ladies in this country. So Black History in February, March is Women's History Month. So I wanted to talk about those three ladies. Let me start out with Mr. Spivey, taking it back with Rosa Parks. Mr. Spivey, what you got?
Well, Rosa Parks was well known for being in down in Tennessee, and she she was on a bus, and she was sitting, and during this time period, you had to understand that if the bus was full and it was a black lady sitting and a white man needed a seat, a black lady was supposed to get up and give her a seat. Now, they had did some test cases before that, the NAACP, and had run some test cases, and they had been unsuccessful. Now, Rosa Parks, I'm not certain if it was an NAACP test case, but what happened was the bus was crowded. This white man got on the bus, and he asked her to get up, and she refused to get up and give him her seat. And it ended up with the police being called and her being arrested for refusing to give this white man her seat. And Dr. Martin Luther King got involved, and that's when he started out and became prominent. So she's known for basically being a catalyst for the civil rights movement. And it's sad because that's a pivotal time back in the 60s, and it spilled over to the 70s. I mean, you had organizations that came about after that, SNCC and Jesse Jackson's organization, and a lot of other organizations. The Black Panther Party stepped up during that time period. And so it's a real significant time. And it's troubling to me because time periods like that, when a black woman, a woman, now I couldn't even understand if a black man was asked to give up his seat, but a black woman, she was considered less than a white man. And so she was supposed to give up her seat for him to sit down, and she was supposed to stand up. And so it's a real significant time. And that's what catapulted Dr. Martin Luther King into prominence in the civil rights movement. And the sad thing that troubles me is that you have a man in the White House today who does not want children to know about that. And he wants to erase that information, that memory, and he wants to erase a lot more memories.
Wow. Thank you very much for that retrospective on Rosa Parks. Hey, Gary, we're probably going to circle back to all of this, but Gary, Maya Angelou.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, she's wow, she's famous for being a great orator, pioneering autobiography. She's, spoke at Obama's inauguration, but she's probably most famous for her 7 autobiographies and being a poet. Now, Maya Angelou is her stage name. I think her last name was Johnson, Marguerite Johnson, because she was born the same day my father was, April 4th. That's how I know that. April 4th was also the same day Martin Luther King was assassinated. But she was a dancer, she was a singer, in addition to being a poet, and she also spoke 6 languages. Not a lot of people know that, but she spoke 6 languages. So she's most famous for the book, I Know Why the I know why the cage bird sings. So that's what I know about her. But and also her work in the civil rights struggle. Definitely, um, just a pioneer. And of course, she won all kinds of prestigious awards. And she spoke with such authority. Her
Hmm.
tone, her inflections, very distinctive.
All right, Gary, thank you very much for that retrospective. Let me close out with CJ. Halle Berry, entertainment, an actress that most of us have just seen for many, many years. What is her impact, you think, CJ, on the world, her legacy? And does she still have a commanding stage presence when she's in a TV show or movie or even a play? What are your thoughts?
Is she even still doing TVs and movies and plays? Like I mean, I'm not trying to dunk on Halle Berry here, but you gave this man Rosa Parks and then Maya Angelou, and then I get Halle Berry. Like I don't. It's kind of frustrates me because this is the argument where I don't think being an entertainer makes you a community leader just automatically, just because you're good at singing or rapping or dancing or playing sports. I don't think that automatically makes you a community leader. What like we just alluded to, Maya Angelou and Rosa Parks did actual work in the civil rights movement and actually, I would say did more as community leaders than somebody who just made some good movies and also some bad movies. Catwoman is known as maybe the worst mainstream Hollywood film in modern history, which she starred in, which she's remembered for, unfortunately, probably more than some of the great movies that she's been in. But yeah, I just don't think being a talented person makes you automatically a spokesperson for, a community in general.
Hey, thank you for that. And one of the reasons I want to bring up Halle Berry, she was only the second woman of color to
Right?
win an Oscar. I think Hattie McDaniel was it Gone with the Wind?
Yeah, what was it for?
So
Yeah.
Monsters Ball or something?
yeah, from
Yeah.
Monsters Ball, which
Yeah,
again had that intense scene in it that almost made me think that no one under the age of 30 should be watching that movie.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
21, 18, or 13, but it makes you wonder sometimes about, what how people see actors and actresses of color. Again, Denzel for Training Day, and then Halle Berry for Monsters Ball. They both won Oscars, so it makes you think. But the purpose of that was just to give a shout out for Women's History Month to three women, and they all happen to be women of color who have laid footprints and a legacy on our country and maybe and also possibly the world. So I just want to give them a shout out for Women's History Month. So that's
Didn't
that's my
Halle
take.
didn't Halle Berry star in a movie called Baps or something like that?
Yes, she did. Yes, she
Okay,
did.
that's what I
Um,
thought.
yeah, which is crazy because that was a movie I did not run to the theater to see. I was more like
Okay,
was it James Bond, The Die Another Day? I thought that was a good movie she played in
Good
with
man.
Pierce Brosnan. There's a few other movies that, are were very good that she played in. But CJ's right. There was some very good and some very bad. So,
yeah, yeah.
but overall, I think being the second woman of color to win an Oscar and do it in modern times, not pre-civil rights times, still is something to be proud of. Regardless of whether I'm not even sure what, for example, Doug Williams, quarterback of the Washington Redskins back in the '87 season. I'm not sure exactly how much he's done in the community. I know he's out there, mentoring Jaden Daniels, still working with Washington Commanders, but just the fact that he was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, regardless of what he did off the field, that still helped young people and just people in general believe that we can attain certain heights in a profession. So Halle definitely did
Sure.
that by winning an Oscar. So that's my take.
Carlos, Halle Berry, I've seen her in a number of different films. You talked
Mhm,
about the James Bond film. She has a very wide range.
mhm,
Um, I saw her in a film which did not get a lot of publicity, and you may not have seen it, but she played in a film where she was a 911 dispatcher, and this
yes,
girl
that was
was
good.
in trouble. And
Hmm.
she left work and went and basically risked her life to save this girl. And it just shows you the range that she has. It's really funny that you mentioned Denzel Washington because Denzel Washington did win an Oscar for Training Day. But a lot of people don't realize Denzel Washington's career was catapulted by Glory, and
Hmm.
he should have gotten an Academy Award
Yeah.
for Glory, but he did not. And so it's really funny the things that they give African American actors Academy Awards for, which you would think that they would have gotten an award for something else that they were much better in.
Hey,
Yeah.
and give Denzel a shout out for, was it a Soldier Story? He was in that with
It was in a
several
soldier
prominent
story. Yeah,
black actors that could have won Oscars for that movie.
yeah.
Hmm.
No,
CJ, you
Glory's a
got
fan.
something?
No, I was just gonna say Glory's a fantastic movie. I just
It's an
watched that on
excellent
Sunday,
movie.
and again, it goes back to Carlos's point. It's what they allow black actors to win awards for, and it
Mhm.
kind of taints it, and it kind of makes it frustrating as they try to hold that over the black faces in high places kind of thing, where the first black this, the first black, and we're still counting those as victories, which is good and bad, but at the same time, like they're it's symbolic in a lot of ways, and it's a lot of times about what they allow to be elevated in those spaces, and not truly the best art.
Okay. Mr. Spivey, you got 10 minutes. What you got?
I came across an article. It was probably about a week ago, and I read the article, and it was a whistleblower. And when I read the article, it kind of piqued my interest. And it was a former CIA counterintelligence officer, a guy by the name of John Kirikou. He spent 15 years at the agency, and he was running Pakistan during 9/11 and all. And he delivered a warning regarding the intelligence and saying that they can see all of our messages and they exploit us by targeting our everyday devices. Make a long story short, he did in 2007, he did an ABC News interview and he disclosed a lot of this information. And he went to federal prison for 23 months for disclosing this information. But one of the things that Kirikou claimed was from a document that CIA had, was called the Vault 7 document. And it was a mass cache of CIA hacking tools leaked during WikiLeaks. You all may remember WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
And it was by a disgruntled employee, a guy who worked for CIA who was a software engineer, a guy by the name of Josh Schulte. They went on to talk about how they were able, through operational programs, to have your smart TV listening even when it was powered off. How remote control vehicles, computer systems in your car, and vulnerabilities across consumer electronics. And so after I read this, I said, I really want to see if this is really true or if they're blowing a lot of smoke. So I decided I wanted to do some research. So I went on a campaign to try to research just how we have no privacy. And in starting off the research, people don't realize, but Facebook and Instagram, they collect 91.4% of our personal data. They share 68.6% with third party. Lincoln, 74.3% personal. They share 37. Amazon, 68.6% personal data. They share 5.7, which was surprising. And YouTube collects 65.7% of our personal data, and they share 31.4% of it. And even Uber Eats collects 51% of our personal data. Now, Uber Eats, they don't share any of it. So, you may want to say, well, why is this so important? When these people are collecting data, they are collecting things like what you purchase, what you are viewing, how long you pause on certain items. And from the moment we turn on our computers, things are being recorded. And you take things like Facebook. Facebook says that they do not monitor your messages sent through Facebook Messenger. But what they do monitor is who you're talking to, how long you're talking to them, and where you are talking and messaging. And another thing that is really a lot of people don't realize is these places like Facebook, they have these algorithms. And to give you a prime example, Facebook says they don't sell your data. But I'm going to give you an example of what they do. They rent your data. And you might say, what do I mean by renting your data? I'm going to give you an example. CJ decides he has a sneaker and he wants to sell it on Facebook. So CJ goes to Facebook and he says, look, I got the sneaker and I want to sell it on Facebook. Facebook says, okay, tell you what you do. You put together your advertisement, you send it to us, and we will market your sneaker and we will charge you a monthly fee. So they're not selling your data. What they're doing is renting your data. Now I'm going to give you a close example. CJ has a sneaker. So Gary, who bikes 25 miles, 35 miles a week, he rides his bicycle. Gary is out on his bicycle. He gets an idea for the Thought Brothers podcast. He pulls over and he decides he's going to go and he's going to search something on Facebook. Facebook knows that he is biking and say that I'm riding with him. Facebook also knows that he's with me. So then what Facebook does is Facebook turns around and markets CJ's sneaker to Gary and Bill Spivey because he knows what kind of activities we are doing. It gets even a little worse than that because what they do a lot of times is they will sell your stuff in these third parties. They will sell your stuff to big companies like LexisNexis. And then what LexisNexis does, LexisNexis will then sell your stuff to smaller companies. And give you an example, a lady, I looked in doing my research, a lady, her insurance premium went from something like $2,200 a year to $3,500 a year. And she was in awe as to why her insurance premium went up. So she contacted the insurance company, and luckily enough, one of the insurance guys told her, I'm not supposed to share this information with you, but we get our information from LexisNexis. And so I would suggest that you go on to LexisNexis and check your information. Well, you can file, if you go to Google, you can go on and ask for a LexisNexis free report. And then it will come up and you click online report. You put in your information. A lot of people are leery about putting in the information on LexisNexis because at one point it asks for your social security number and your driver's license number. Trust me, they already got that information. They just want to verify what you're sending in. This particular lady got her report back. It was something like 600 different occurrences of where she had been, her braking, her speeding, and this type of thing. And how did they get all that information? They get all of that information from your car. People don't realize we're driving these cars, and you expect in your car that's a private place. You can cuss in your car, you can sleep in your car, you can do whatever you want in your car. But the thing that people don't realize is cars collect two types of data. They collect technical data, which is your engine, your transmission, and that type of thing. And they collect personal data. The personal data they collect is like the Ioniq 9 that I drive. When I get in the car, if I'm the one driving it, I have to put my fingerprint in. That's data that's collected. It goes back to the company. They collect facial data. They collect medical information, financial information that you use to purchase stuff, and emergency services, passwords. And people don't even realize your home address, your garage code. When you pull up to your car and on that sun visor, you got those three buttons and you push the button to open your garage door. that code is going back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer can share that information. The other thing is the new cars now, most of the cars are equipped with 4 and 5G. So when you use your cell phone and connect to the Wi-Fi in your car, or you got your daughter or your child in the back looking at a movie or something, and they're using the Wi-Fi as you're driving, that Wi-Fi is being distributed all over. And this is how hackers can get in, the navigation system and that type of thing. And then the car companies, what they do is they share this information with the insurance companies. So that's how your premiums can get jacked up. And last but not least, your cell phone. I went on and I checked the thing. Your iPhone tracks every move that you make. And if you go into your iPhone and you're going, and I'll give this information to Gary if he wants to put it up on the podcast later, but you can go into your iPhone, go into settings, go into the location services, and you'll find that there's a thing there that says significant services, significant location, and routes. You can target that off, and then they will not be able to track you. But the other thing that you do is with a lot of these programs like Waze and other store apps and that type of thing, a lot of times you get an option. It says, do you want this to be all the time or when you're using the app?
Right. Right.
You check when you're using the app, because if you don't check when you're using the app and you check all the time, these store apps that you put on your phone, they follow you. Prime example, Macy's, they have an app. If you don't put on there when you're using the app, when you go into another store, Burlington, TJ Maxx or whatever, that Macy's app knows that you're going into those other stores. And so then what they can do is they won't be able to pick up what you're looking at. So then they'll send you a blurb or something like that, of what you were looking at in another store. It was very interesting because when I read the article, I said, is this guy blowing smoke, this whistleblower? But it's so much tracking going on now. You have no privacy. And the one thing with these apps like Google, Facebook, and these other ones, you can opt out. But there's one app that you can't opt out of, and that's TikTok, because TikTok is not a U.S. company. It's
Right.
an overseas company, and they store the data that they collect. But you have to be careful because, say, if I opt out of Facebook and I say I don't want any of my data in Facebook, and Gary has Facebook, and Gary has to upload his contacts to Facebook, and if I'm in Gary's contacts, guess what? I opted out, but they still got my data because I'm one of his contacts. So I just wanted to kind of make people aware of just the things that are tracking you, your cell phone, your car. I mean, these cars got so much stuff in it. Now you can sit back and you can look at movies in the car. You got these relaxation programs in the car. And then you have these driving programs. Like my electric car has a thing called HDA, Highway Driving Assist. I can push a button, take my hands off the steering wheel, and the car drives itself. There's a camera watching because that's how it can tell if your eyes are not on the road and that type of thing. So it automatically knows who's in the car with you. So
Oh
I just
man.
wanted to
Yep. All these modern cars. Woo. All right. You gonna have people processing there, Mr. Spivey.
and I think one of our good buddies, financial guy, just bought a new car with a whole bunch of tech stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. CJ, what you got?
I guess I got the fun job that nobody wanted to talk about. That like
Okay.
we're we're at war with Iran. I was out having a show. I had a gig this weekend, so I was getting back late about 2 in the morning Saturday. Feeling good. Just rocked the show. It was a great crowd, great energy. Then I flip open my phone before I go to bed, and I see Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago at 2 in the morning making an announcement with no tie on and a baseball cap, talking about, yeah, we struck Iran on behalf of Israel, basically, because Iran was in negotiations with us. They weren't a threat to us. Their ballistic missiles don't reach us. They have no nuclear weapons because Trump said he quote unquote obliterated their nuclear program the last time he illegally bombed them last year. He said totally obliterated. Now we had to do that attack so they don't have a nuke. And then now he's saying, oh yeah, they were definitely going to have a nuke. So that's why we had to attack them because they were 2 weeks away from getting a nuke. Netanyahu has been saying that for 30 years, that Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuke. Um, let's see. It's been a lot in the last couple of days. In our initial strike, we hit a girls' school, right in time for Women's History Month. We killed about 900 little girls, in an attack with Israel. Marco Rubio came out yesterday and basically confirmed that Israel dragged us into the war. He said Israel was going to attack whether we approved or not, and then the blowback was going to come back on our bases overseas. So we just had to go in because Israel was going to do it anyway. So we might as well just go in with them, which was a conspiracy theory until, I guess he said it out loud yesterday. Donald Trump has said many various conflicting things. One, they had nukes, but they also didn't have nukes because he totally obliterated their nukes. So they have nukes, but they don't have nukes. He said, we're not at war, but we killed the Ayatollah, 86-year-old religious leader who they could have let, Father Time sort out, but they decided to martyr him. And now they also admit, the Trump administration, that they have no plan for regime change. They killed the leader of this regime. Donald Trump haphazardly in the White House said, "Oh, the guys we thought would be the successor, we accidentally killed them too. So we don't know who's going to take up the country." And even a reporter said, "Hey, how do you know who takes over isn't going to be worse?" And he's like, "I never thought of that. Yeah, I guess that is a possibility." So that shows you that the planning that the U.S. military has put into this, American soldiers are already dead. We don't know the exact number yet, but it's 6 confirmed, I think, already, and many, many more. I think they're withholding that number out of pure embarrassment because it seems like Donald Trump was told by the Israelis that if he did this, it would be very similar to Venezuela, just in and out. You take out the leader, you'll get the glory, and this is, and then it's cut and dry. Obviously, that didn't happen. There's a reason that no other U.S. president for the last 30 years was not willing to do this, even though they're willing to do literally anything else for Israel, anything else to do the bidding of Israel, but they weren't willing to fight a world superpower on behalf of them, which until now they finally got a president either stupid enough or compromised enough or both to do Netanyahu's dream, his dream regime change war, Israel's number one threat in the region, but unfortunately not for the Trump administration, not America's number one threat because they're having a very, very difficult time selling this war to the American people. There's no Congress involved. They're trying to, other than the cultish MAGA base, even many independents and Trump voters are very confused by this because he was going around saying, I'm the peace president. I'm going around to end the wars. No more foreign entanglements. He campaigned railing against George Bush and these dumb regime change wars overseas because we need to take care of America first, right? America first. No more regime change wars until Israel said, no, we need a regime change war. And Trump, it's there. I, I, I was going to say a B word, but he is subservient to them in just about every possible way. So he's betrayed his MAGA base. We're slaughtering people. They're carpet bombing Tehran right now, which is Tehran has a civilian population density very similar to New York City. Tehran is their capital, and one of the justifications for this war was we're liberating the Iranian people. We want to free the Iranian people and let them take back their government. And then Pete Hegseth came out today and said there's going to be nonstop death and destruction reigning over the people of Tehran and they're going to look up and only see Israel and America, death and destruction reigning upon them. That doesn't sound like they want to free the people and liberate the people when they're bombing civilian areas like the girls' school and things like that. We don't know how many civilians are dead, but also this is also a geopolitical problem for our allies are getting hammered. All the U.S. bases in the region are now just sponging ballistic missiles from Iran. because it seems like the only party that the United States is interested in defending in the Middle East is Israel. We have bases in a bunch of other countries, the UAE, Dubai, all those places people like to vacation and things like that. Many, I think up to like 1 million Americans are trapped overseas in these war zones because Trump haphazardly launched a war without evacuating the Americans in these areas. So now there are Americans trapped here getting missiles rained upon them on, again, for Israel. These people died for Israel. There's a viral moment from just today of a Marine interrupting a Republican hearing, screaming, getting carried out, talking about we don't want to die for Israel in his uniform, talking about we signed up to defend America from threats, and they can't articulate what the threat was to America. I think it was Tom Cotton who came on TV the other day and said, "Oh, Iran was an imminent threat for 47 years." That's not how the word imminent works. It can't be an imminent threat when they've been sitting around not attacking us for 47 years. You can, and on top of that makes it even more frustrating. On top of this, I have a lot of criticisms of Barack Obama, but this is a problem he already solved. He had the Iran nuclear deal that was signed that Iran was abiding by, and then Donald Trump was the one who tore it up. And then Iran's like, okay, so I guess we're not in the deal anymore. And then Trump turns around and demands, if you try to build a nuke, we're just going to destroy you outside of international law, instead of being skilled enough like Obama to be a negotiator and come to the table and to get them to sign a deal that they were abiding by. So again, this is a classic Trump problem where he's doing the arsonist thing, where he sets a fire and then wants credit for attempting to put it out. The fire ain't even out. The fire is raging. It's caught the whole neighborhood, but he's got a bucket of water and he wants credit for trying to put the fire that he started out. That is exactly what happened. And for more scale, Iran is like 10 times bigger than Iraq. This is a big, big F up that is not going to be easily, fixed. We're not going to be able to just get out of this. Iran and the regional actors, even our allies, don't trust us anymore. They're getting attacked on behalf of us. And again, they can't articulate. There's a story that came out today, again, more recent news, that some of these generals on the U.S. bases talking about we're doing this to fulfill a biblical prophecy for Christianity, because when Israel has the region, then Jesus will come back. They're saying this on commanders are leaking this on military bases. So now they're saying Iran is a fundamentalist religion, crazy. We sound like the fundamentalist, crazy, bad guys in this situation. We attacked first. There's no debate. There's no dispute that we attacked a country that did not attack us, that is no threat to the U.S. mainland. We attacked first, and then we attacked with no clear objectives. They said, we don't know who's going to run the country. It could be somebody worse. We don't know. We're going to start arming some rebels to start some uprising. So we're going to start arming some more terrorists, destabilizing the whole region. And again, people are frustrated because all of this is on behalf of Israel. Israel probably has tapes of Donald Trump diddling kids, and this is why has no choice to go along with what they say. Because again, even Joe Biden, a staunch self-admitted Zionist, drew a line here, and he wasn't going to attack Iran because he knew the mess that it would cause. It makes America less safe. We now have primed the next generation of terrorists. If they didn't hate us before, killing 900 little girls for no reason in an unprovoked strike, that's going to create some terrorists. That's going to create some anti-American sentiment around the region. And again, I don't think the Israelis care, because this is what they wanted, because they know they're not fighting this war. It's not going to be Israeli lives, they got the Iron Dome. We pay for their health care. They're good. It's going to be American soldiers that pay the cost. And they already started to. We already have flag covered coffins coming home for reasons that Donald Trump can't even articulate.
All right.
CJ, listening to you talk, I'm sure you will remember, and Carlos and Gary also, we've been to this dance before. They lied to Colin Powell years ago and told him that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. And that was the reason they went in, because they wanted to kill Saddam Hussein. All I want to say is, the main person you have in the White House, you look at him, you look at his intelligence, and then look at the people that he surrounded himself with. Pete Hegseth is the least qualified Secretary of Defense, now Secretary of War, that there's ever been. usually there has been a general. Uh, Look at the general that he replaced. Pete Hegseth was a weekend Fox host who's now the Secretary of War. Look at the lady who I remember years ago, and you all would remember. I remember Michael Vick had a house in the Tidewater area of Newport News, which he had friends staying in, and they were fighting dogs. These people wanted to hang him. He ended up going to jail for dog fighting. But what did you do? You had a woman who says that she had a stupid dog. She took him out and shot him in the head and killed him. And what do? You give her a cabinet post. So killing dogs apparently is not a big deal, but fighting dogs is a big deal. And then you go through the lady who is the head of the legal system here in DC. She was a Fox host. So what happens is you have these people who are totally unqualified for the job. Cash Patel, the worst director in the history of the FBI, the most unqualified director. So Trump has surrounded himself with people who don't know what they're doing, who couldn't run anything if they had to. And this is what you're getting. I heard Mark Rubio give us a justification the other day, and he was talking to the news media, and he said that the United States did not have a choice but to enter into this war because Netanyahu was going to attack Iran no anyway. And so once Israel attacked Iran, Iran was going to retaliate against the United States. Now, where does that make sense? If I attack Iran, why is Iran going to come and attack the United States? They're going to attack the person who
it makes a
attacked
lot
it.
of sense actually because we are of the same country. Israel has occupied our country. We move as one, and our bases are the ones the main things threatening them. We have bases surrounding all throughout that region that are hostile to Iran. So like that's why, because the main threat to Iran is our bases over there. They could wipe out Israel if Israel wasn't protected by us. So they know that Israel is a proxy for us. So when Israel attacks, they attack Israel's assets, which are our assets. So we're moving as one country now. They used to, deny that we are occupied or one country, but this incident really proves that that is the case. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not controversial. AIPAC floods our election with Israeli money for
With
Israeli
Israeli money.
interests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and basically what you have is you have two criminals. Netanyahu is a war criminal, and you got Donald Trump, who's a 34-time convicted felon, that's getting together, and they're going to start another war, and just hope that you don't have the same thing that you had years ago, where you end up having people being drafted to go in and fight this stupid war. And as a friend of mine said to me not too long ago, um, what you may have is some of these people that ICE is scooping up, they may force them to go into the military. And I wouldn't put it past Donald Trump because they would like to kill off as many black and brown people as they can.
This is why we call the show The Thought Brothers. You've gotten a lot to think about with every daggone topic, from scams to Women History Month to where we are now. CJ brought it home. You know what, folks? We're the Thought Brothers, and until next week, we are out of here.
Take
Good
care,
night.
folks. Good night.